Before history is written, it's played. Before it's frozen in time, it's fought one shift at a time. Before it's etched in silver, it's carved in ice. What happens next will last forever. The Stanley Cup Final on ABC and ESPN Plus begins Saturday.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become?
Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever, however you're getting this, and welcome to Saturday's edition of the Daily Red. Now, I know we don't normally do them at the weekend, but we thought with it being transfer season, with everything the way it is at the moment, we like to keep you informed, all AI listeners, of the latest Reds development. So I'm Dave Davis, coming to you from a sunny and nice Edinburgh with plenty to update you on a Saturday, where the weekends are precious, so pin your ears back, and I will try and get through this as quickly as possible with the info that you want as possible. So where are we going to start with the latest LFC stories? Only one place, really, isn't there? Kind of hit differently last night, didn't it? Felt like a half-10 Joy-style revelation, or Tony Barrett in the old days, like when he used to break the Wijnaldum ones, that type of thing. So, he was none of them, though. Luke Edwards, Daily Telegraph, their Newcastle correspondent, obviously has all the connections there, released a story last night, didn't he, that Newcastle's 19-year-old Gambian winger, Yankuba Minteh, is up for sale, mainly because of Newcastle's issues around PSR, FFP, whatever you want to call it. And Liverpool are one of the clubs interested. Now, as Luke Edwards says in this article, Liverpool and other clubs will have to stump up a fee around £40 million, because that is Newcastle's asking price, which is no small fee. And the reason they're looking to sell is because naturally they want to keep the player, but FFP, etc. Very much felt like, we can be honest with our opinions on this, a Newcastle briefing. But the fact that Liverpool are mentioned, the player has been linked or suggested, shall we say, as a target. I know Sam Maguire was the first one to call it out quite a while ago that he profiles well. And when you look at the player, he does have a bit of a Michael Edwards style feel to him, shall we say. That, I mean, he had a decent season. He got stronger as it went on under Arne Slot. So obviously he's under our current incumbent at Feyenoord on loan. 11 goals, 7 assists, got one in the Champions League as well. I mean, it's an interesting one because he played just shy of 2,000 minutes in all competitions. A left-footed right winger. And we'll come back to that because as few have mentioned that, there are a few other stories it's worth calling out. When you look at his stats, I mean, his XG, you take away on non-penalty XG and expected, or XAG, if you want to get super technical, 0.87. So it does put him in, per 90 naturally, the 99th percentile, as Barts will always talk about and refers to the percentiles more than anything. If you look at his carries, progressive carries, and his take-on rate, a successful take-on rate, that also puts him in the 99th percentile according to FBref for attackers and wingers that way. It does feel, I mean, this kid's come through the Danish league and now, to say Newcastle, but Feyenoord, has he said that experience the Dutch league?
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
It does feel like this is possible. It does feel that if Edwards and Hughes want that project winger, that this could potentially be the boy. I mean, Bakayoko's been linked, but I don't think a lot of people really believe that. And you could look and say, well, Bakayoko's got 14 goals and 14 assists, so that well outstrips goal contributions for Minteh. But if you look at minutes on the pitch, the attributes, his pace, his take-ons, the left-footed right winger element, I know they're both that. I would understand why Minteh would be liked a lot more than Bakayoko by fans as well, to be honest. I wouldn't just dismiss this. If it's a project forward, and I'm talking that in terms of it's not an Elise, it's not a Kudas, which I know many people will want that sort of level to come in, you know, whether it be a dynamic ball carrier, an assist creator, or whatever you want, the status quo would say, in that front line. If it is a project forward, I wouldn't dismiss this kid. In my opinion, 40 billion, forget it. Forget it. In fact, he'll probably be closer to the half mark. And I'd say that sort of 20 to 25, I think Liverpool will be very interested in potentially discussing that with Newcastle. I'm not saying it's the top of the list, top option, whatever, but very interested in discussing that with Newcastle. Anything that's going 30 million and north, forget it as well. 40 million is just a pipe dream. That's clearly Luke Edwards giving the Newcastle style that, do you notice how he puts in his article? There's a number of clubs, i.e. it's bidding more time. Newcastle need the money for FFP, PSR. However, Yankuba Minteh for Liverpool, I would not dismiss that at all. I think that is distinctly one to keep an eye on. And the other story around, funnily enough, left-footed right winger, a year older, 20 years old, Dario Osorio, the Chilean youngster playing at Midtjylland in Denmark. Now, a really interesting player, less minutes than Minteh, so just over 1,300, less goals and assists, 9 goals, 2 assists for him, so 11 goal contributions overall. It's interesting because just before this, I was speaking to sort of a South American football expert, Tom Robinson, you know, we've probably had him on quite a few times, and asked him about this kid. So he's probably the most exciting Chilean prospect in a while. Very direct and pacey option. He's got a great straight line running speed. At the price that's suggested, and the price talked about is £8 million, it's not a bad pickup, but I feel like his level is more mid-level Prem rather than anyone who would improve Liverpool massively at this time. So shout out to Tom Robinson on that. Interesting. When you hear this and you look at this kid, I mean, is sort of non-penalty XG and XAG 0.73. So it's less than sort of Minteh on a lot of things. It feels like a multi-club model signing, doesn't it? If we did have this next multi-club, he'd be the one you'd be like, yeah, makes sense. Get him there, get him developed, for when it comes to us. It feels like a multi-club model signing, especially when you think about Midtjylland. It's the home of data, isn't it? People know that, in football, and it links in there. So you do wonder. You do also think, is it almost a Carvalho type signing? In essence, I know he's a different player. I'm not saying that. I mean, in essence of you would take a bit of an educated gamble, thinking if it doesn't work out, if he's never quite good enough to play in Liverpool's first team, it's one that we move on for profit. It feels like it would be in the multi-club, in the move-on model, the educate gamble, a smart move. Also, you don't want to be rude to anyone, but 7 to 8 million in club football nowadays for the top-level clubs, it's nothing. I'm not saying we spend that on post-its, but in general terms, I would not dismiss that one either at all. So those are probably the two biggest transfer stories, ladies and gents. Now, there are a few others. William Saliba. No, we're not signing for anyone gets excited, but he was talking about Virgil van Dijk. And it's interesting, his comments, because this was today, and, he was put up before the French media. People have talked about as he replaced Van Dijk, as the best centre-back. People have opinions, whatever. So let's see what he says. I'm not the guy who talks a lot, but I'm talking more and more. I'm making progress in that regard. In defence at Arsenal, I'm one of the leaders. Van Dijk has an aura, for example. He's the boss. He commands everything. You can feel that he scares the attackers, but I'm starting to feel the same way. I'm starting to see that the attackers are feeling fear. Sometimes when the players are in your zone, they don't have fun. And there's a load of other talk. But it's interesting what he says about Virgil, isn't it? About his aura, correct. He's the boss, commands everything, correct. We're talking still, for me, without doubt, the best centre-half in the Premier League. Now, Virgil naturally by age is set to be on the decline. No one would debate that. And Saliba is very much in the ascendancy. So the trajectories are going different ways. I can understand that argument completely. It's that line, though. I am starting to feel the same way. And the next one, I'm starting to see that the attackers are feeling fear. Saliba is a brilliant player. The potential is brilliant. I do think he is. For me, second or third best centre-back. I know people are going to say Konate, but you would argue about how Konate's drop-off recently. I don't think you would debate. It's a hard ask even for no ardent Konate fan to make the case that Konate is better than Saliba right now. I know people will use the international thing, and that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become?
Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
But he's starting to feel like Virgil van Dijk. He's starting to see the attackers feel fit. Yeah, Saliba, you are starting to potentially be the best centre-back in the league. Starting. You are not that yet. It is Virgil van Dijk, and Saliba's comments told you everything you needed to know. In other interesting news, Liverpool is officially the most engaged club in the Premier League, as they tweeted with 1.5 billion social media fan engagements in the 23-24 season. You fucking love it, don't you? Your Twitter, your Insta, even Kloppo's on there now, isn't he? Pods are... we all love it. We're all guilty. It's like crack, doesn't it? There's no two ways about it when there's a big Liverpool story as well. We're always looking for the latest, hence why we're talking even more listed even now. 1.5 though, it's interesting when you hear them stats, isn't it?
Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff, we've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own two-footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m, Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin DeVries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable, they're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye.
1.5 billion. The 1 and a 5. Because you're kind of surprised at that. Because there's another club who were referred to in terms of a 1, and a 5, who, according to the commercial revenue stats, are outstripping everyone. Not just by a little bit, by a mile. Are apparently the world's most successful commercial club side. So it kind of makes you wonder a little bit, why are they not top? Because if they're the world's most successful commercial club, as the money tells us apparently, why aren't they top? For those who can't see me now, insert eye emoji. Just one to think about, ladies and gentlemen, that way. In international football as well, it's important to say that Robbo played for Scotland. Jaros made his debut, so shout out to him for the Czech Republic, and he will go as part of their squad to the Euros. Be interesting to see what happens with that kid, because there's a feeling with a lot of people, will he be the number 2 when Kelleher does depart, that actually they might not have to bring that player in, but obviously he's done very well at Sturm Graz, so that's a question mark as well. England-wise, not that anyone cares about the flag shaggers, but there you go. But Trent and Gomez came off the bench, didn't they? So fair play to them. And if you wonder about Trent's impact, if people are that dumb in the wider England audience, as people started to realise, he came off the bench for 25 minutes and created 3 chances, more than anyone on the pitch. The game changed for England when Trent came on. If I had my way, retire from it now and just think, take that slight as that. But he is not going to. So, yeah, there we go, ladies and gents. And in a bit of an official club news, you could say, I think it's really important to mention this. Tom Werner had his comments yesterday, didn't he, in the Financial Times article about he's very determined that Liverpool should play, or Premier League clubs should play games abroad, and mention different countries, different time zones, all in the same, all that type of thing. John W. Henry in the same article mentioned that, he didn't necessarily endorse that, kind of steered away from it. What's really important to say, and shout out to Harinder and the Supporters Board here, is what the Supporters Board said officially on this. SOS have released their statement if anyone wants to read that. But I think it's important to almost read what the Supporters Board tweet said. I think that's really important word for word, not to leave any ambiguity. So what did they tweet at 8:15 last night? 2 parts. They said, on behalf of the Supporters Club, our chair has spoken directly to the club. They have told us that Tom Werner's comment was a personal idea, not LFC's, which would only be put forward for consideration if it was right for everyone, including, and most importantly, supporters. So that's the official tweet from the Liverpool Supporters Board. I don't think there's any ambiguity in that whatsoever, isn't it? You cannot debate that remotely at all. They then also say there's a second tweet, is not something that the club is considering. Even then, they have reassured us it will be subject to consultation with our Supporters Board in line with our Supporters Board agreement. The Supporters Board will obviously keep a careful watch on this issue, and fair play to them, fair play to the guys, so they should. But if there was any ambiguity, The club has made it clear, was Tom Werner's comment, not them. The club has also made it clear, as Supports Board have, maybe better to say, it's not something the club is considering, and if they did, it has to, as per the agreement, be in line with the agreement of the Supporters Board, and that Supporters Board agreement. I don't think there's any ambiguity in that whatsoever. I'm not really sure there's anything more you can say on that. I don't even think it's for me to sort of look, interpret, dodge. The Supporters Board has been clear on that. End of story. Additionally, other things to be aware of, it's internationals, as we say, coming up today. That Szoboszlai, Jota and Diaz will play for, naturally, Hungary, Colombia and Portugal. You'd expect, it's not guaranteed, but they'll kick off at different times. And looking what's on the sort of fan sites at the moment, AI has got the big story around Adrian. I'm thinking big story around Adrian. What are we talking about? That, as the club said, they will announce, or they have offered it, or now, sorry, they've offered him a contract. However, doesn't mean he'll accept it. Betis are being linked with Adrian, and Adrian has been public that he would consider a move back to his homeland, closer to his family. And Betis, obviously, is in Sevilla. That's where his family is originally from. I could well understand if that was his preference. We'll have to see. Also, the AI Under Pressure Boys, Part 2's out. So that was Sai, Hamza and Roti. Well worth a listen of the glory days. So it's a Part 2 of their recent series. They cover the 18-19 and the 19-20 season Champions League successors, Premier League titles. So well worth a listen for their analysis. So shout out to those boys on that for a podcast. Other ones just to mention, This is Anfield. I've got a few interesting articles talking about Szoboszlai, why they broke the mould for him and the move. Robbo, will he be a guaranteed starter anymore, a regular starter? So that's an interesting read. And Conor Bradley, almost season previews, but coming at it from a different angle. So there's a few shout-outs there. Obviously, tomorrow, we'll bring you another Daily Red podcast. We'll steer into Monday. Well, there'll be the normals. There'll be Media Matters with David Lynch. There'll be a transfer show coming up on Monday. And the coming week, Mulberry on the Spot. All your favourites, all the normal things. But on Saturday, the 8th of June, ladies and gents, enjoy your weekend. That was the Daily Red podcast.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.